Oh, I'm going to unbox the Amico CUT-50. So this is the 50 amp version of their plasma cutter. I think there's a 40 amp and maybe even a 30 amp version. This one was about $320, $330 from Home Depot. You had to order online. It doesn't seem like any of the stores, at least near me, carried any of the plasma cutters or any of the Amico stuff. So that was kind of disappointing, and they don't have tips, any like replacement tips. That's fine. You can find them from Amazon for like $10. You can buy like a pack of tips. So I was like, okay, well, it's not a big deal there. So I figured I'd get the 50 amp version. They have a 40 amp version, which is I think just under 200 or just under $300, like $280 or something like that. And then there's one that's I think slightly cheaper than that. So far, my first impressions are it's kind of light. It's not like super heavy. So I guess that's good and bad. The packaging. It looks like it comes with the ground clamp, the cutting nozzle, and then it has an adapter. So the one nice thing about this is it'll work with a 110 volt. Obviously, you won't get 50 amps. I won't say obviously, but you won't get 50 amps out of a 110 volt, 120 volt circuit. So I think at most you can get, what is it, like 15 amps or something like that. I do have a 50 amp 220 for my welder, so I figured this would be a good addition. What I'm planning on doing is I have my welding table here, and I want to put this sucker underneath it. And so let's go ahead and start opening this sucker up. See what this thing looks like. Nice, stapled. Plug. So here's the adapter. So this is the plug the 220 volt in here, and then plug this into a 110. So that's awesome. Alright. Okay, looks like it's supposed to be one of the cables. Feels light, so I'm guessing the ground one. Let's see here. Ground cable. Okay. Looks good. Has copper, so that's nice. Interesting how this thing is very similar to for my welding clamp. Plug looks pretty nice. Nothing fancy. It's not what it is. Let's see here. Instruction manual. Alright, so this must be actual gun here. Oh, whoops, there's the tips, I'm assuming. Okay, looks like it comes with at least one spare set of tips. Looks like one set of tips installed. So that's nice. Smells like plastic and rubber. Alright, I like it. The handle feels pretty good. Has a protective, rubber coat, cover over the cables. It looks like. Nice. I like it. It looks like the tip is the type that has the serrations in it, so you can actually touch down and it shouldn't melt it too badly. Looks good. Excellent. Alright, let's get these out of the way. Alright, let's see here. So it looks like the best way to do this would be to pull it out of the box, but what I'm going to do, oops. So as comes to the warning, I guess you got to pull the adjuster to adjust and then push back in. It looks like to lock. Looks like there's an amperage setting right here. Looks like that's the pressure gauge. So this one looks like 10 amps all the way up to 50 amps. Okay, that's kind of nice. I don't think the Harbor Freight one comes with an adjuster, but I don't know too much about the Harbor Freight one. Coworker of mine was using it to help me cut some stuff, and he says there's no adjustment. You just adjust the regulator on the Harbor Freight one. So that's definitely an upgrade then from the Harbor Freight one. Let's see. Doesn't look like it opens up at all. I'll zoom the camera in on here. Probably can't see it too well. Take a look at it. So again, so you can see the adjuster knob for the amperage. A little warning to tell you to pull this out a little bit. Apparently if you pull too much, it'll pull it right off. I don't know, I did that earlier. So kind of annoying. It's kind of easy to pull it off, so but there you go. Different connectors. Let's see what's back. There's a drain here. Some sort. I guess that's maybe moisture fills up like when you use it with the air compressor. Let's see, another warning. Automatic temperature control. The fan in the machine only activates once the machine reaches a temperature of over 120 degrees Fahrenheit or 50 degrees Celsius. Alright, good to know. Looks like there's a breaker on the back. Oh, it also acts as a switch. On, off. Okay. Interesting. It looks like this must be the ground down here. Again, the drain. Interesting thing about the drain. Push in? I don't know. I'll have to figure that out. So far, like the unit, looks good. Looks better than the Harbor Freight version. Let's just see if it cuts, I guess. That'll be the next step when we get this thing situated and get it plugged in. Let's see here. I guess plug in the part of it. Let's get going here. So it looks like this is to install gun. I'll have to get a wrench and tighten this thing down a little bit more so it doesn't leak. Interesting as it has a cutout there. Zip tie. Let's cut that. There's a little notch right there, so it must go in and then turn. So, yep, alright, so that's that. As far as I can tell, I just need to plug air into it and it's good to go. Maybe we'll give it a try here. But I thought I'd show you before I got going what my first project is. So I'm working on my welding table here, but I need to cope these tubes. It's a 3-inch diameter tube. I got them for free, that's why I have 3-inch diameter tubes, not just because for any particular reason. But I don't have a hole saw that's 3-inch diameters. I don't have a coping tool that's that big either. So what I had a friend do was take SolidWorks and make me this template that I tape on to the tube. And now I've traced, I've cut it out, the template, and then traced this design here on it, or what the coping lines would be for this tube. And now with Sharpie, it's here. What I'm going to try to do with the plasma cutter now is follow these lines and cut this out, and then do the same thing to the other side, and then hopefully I'll have a tube that I can weld in onto my welding table and finish off the braces for the legs. Okay, I read a little bit in the manual. It suggested setting this to 20 amps as far as cutting the first 1/8, and then adding 10 amps per 1/8 of an inch that you wish to cut. It says it'll cut up to 3/4 of an inch, but just not cleanly, so they rated it to 1/2 inch. That's what it says in the instructions. So now I'm going to attach the ground clamp to the end of the tube here. Wearing my welding helmet because I think it'll cut nicer. It'll be nice to see what I'm doing while I'm cutting anyways. Now I'm going to try, don't know what the pressure regulator is set for. So again, this is going to be my very first cut. So, and to tell you the truth, I do not have a lot of experience with plasma cutters. Let me go. So this may not go very well. We will see. And I'm not sure what the pressure's set at, so I think I'll have to turn it on, fire it up, and see what the pressure looks like. It's suggesting around, I think it was 25, 30 psi. Let's see. Let's see what happens. Yeah, so it's like not getting any pressure for some reason. Let's see what's going on here. Well, let me check and see what's going on with my compressor, if there's anything, before I think it's a machine issue. There we go. Got it. Wasn't all the way plugged in, so let's see here. Alrighty. Looks like it's set about right. 20 psi. Let's see what happens here, everybody. Oh. Machine's on. Turned it off. Alright, let's try again. Went a little too fast. I wasn't kind of expecting it to go. Alright, let's do this again. This time for reals. takes a little getting used to as far as the speed going, but it's cutting pretty good. I am going a little too fast on some of these cuts here. You can tell I can start spraying a lot of sparks everywhere. I bet if I turn it up a little bit, might be able to improve that. Let's see. Increase the air pressure just a touch. Again, I'm not an expert with the plasma cutting, so it may not be the best, wisest thing. Let's see, try not to twist up my ground clamp too much. I could probably clamp to the table, but it's kind of rusty at the moment. I haven't finished it completely. So I may not get a good ground, so that's why I prefer clamping at the moment to the tube. I think I'll just get better results. So far, it's working pretty good. I just the guy behind the torch that's the problem, and the machine at the moment. Let's say one thing that kind of weirds me out. I turned the machine off, but I'm still seeing numbers here. I'm kind of curious what happened. Oh, there it goes. It finally goes off. So that's a little disconcerting for me. Just to make sure, it's like if I think if I hit that, it should come off completely. Looks like it's cut pretty well. I think the main problem is me at the moment, just having a steady hand. It looks like a few sections where I could probably go through and cut a little bit better. You know, it did help turn it up a touch. So I think I turned it up to about 28 amps. I was cutting through, not quite, it's probably 100 thousandths thickness material. The PSI wise, I was running around just shy of 30 PSI. So far, I'm pretty happy with it. I think it'll work for me around the farm and stuff like that. I got the 50 amp version because I figure I might cut some of the heavier stuff, at least somewhere between 3/8 and ½ inch at times. So I didn't want to make sure, heck, for 50 bucks more, I'll get one that cuts all the way. So my goal is, I'll cut this tube here, I'll flip it to the other side, coat the other side, and then I'm going to weld it in between the legs down at the bottom here, and then I'll be able to make a shelf, and I'll be able to put the plasma cutter underneath that, have my air compressor over there, have the my 240 volt 40-foot extension cord right there. I can switch between the plasma cutter and the welder as needed, and that way I can wheel them out the garage door and work on stuff, the tractor, my dump truck, whatever it is that I need. I think this thing will work just fine. Let's see how the tip looks after I butchered it. Still in pretty decent shape, considering I dry fired it that one time where it sparked, but I didn't have the pressure all the way in. My bad. So far I'm pretty happy with it. Maybe I'll wait a few days, shoot a conclusion to this video after I've cut a few things. I have a couple other projects that I could cut up here in the next few days just to see how it works. Finished scope in the end. Again, I think this is probably more user error than anything else. Definitely not the cleanest, but go in, I'll grind out the sludge pretty good, and add it to my table. I figured I might as well finish up the project while I'm here. So I just taped up, marked the coat for this side. So now I'm going to peel that off. Now I'm thinking it's very convenient, just the length here, but maybe I'll just live with it. I had this thing set up isn't exactly Well, fit now. I'm gonna have to ratchet the ends, the legs together a little bit, and I had to do that because they flare out a touch, you know, as they're coming down. But it looks like it fits here. So what I have to do, I think, is jack the table up a little bit just so that I can get the tube to come in. So I have a cross tube that's blocking it, so it doesn't allow me to slide it down. Jack it together, you know, ratchet it together, level with the back, weld it in, good to go. So pretty happy with the plasma cutter, pretty happy with how the welding table's coming out, and you can see once I get this tube in, I'll have the tube in the back, and then I can put a shelf right here, plasma cutter, my other welder can sit here, some other stuff, good to go. Alright, start ready.
Ready?
Ready?
It's a green light.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yep. I just ran out of wire. I guess that's it.
Oh.
Yep.
But what do we need to do to get more wire?
I have more. Let me just put some in and you can watch. It'll take me a minute.
How do you undo this thing? Is that the table you're making?
Yep. Alright, ready?
Mm-hmm. Whoa. There we go.
Hold on.
Done?
Almost. Don't get side. I'm going to do one more fix right here. There we go. Done.
So, what are those things that you just did?
Welds.
You know what? What did you do?
So what I did was I cut and made this tube, and then I welded it to here. So what you use with the welder is that you actually melt the two metals together so that they stick.
It's kind of it's rainbow at the end.
Yeah, it kind of is, huh?
Yeah.
Kind of cool, eh? All right, let's see.
Here we go. These are really cool.
Oh, good.
So when you see through them, you can see everything. But it'll just take you a minute to
See stuff, yeah.
You should try it.
All right, wait a sec. Well, this kind of does the same thing that I'm wearing, but this one's called an auto darkening, which means that it starts off kind of light, but once I start welding, it automatically gets dark, so that it doesn't get blinded by the welding light.
Here, can you see it?
Huh?
Let's take it.
Yeah, you can see this one.
Whoa.
And then what happens is it automatically gets dark if you need it to.
It's sweaty down here.
It is, yeah.
Why?
Because it's getting hot.
And because the thing is hot.
Yeah.
It has to be hot to melt them together.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing can melt anything better than the sun.
That's right. The sun can melt everything.
Nothing can melt anything.
Yep.
Anything.
That is true. That is definitely true. So that is my video talking about the Amico plasma cutter. Obviously, like I said, I need to become better at plasma cutting. I tend to use straight edges, in straight cuts I'll have a metal straight edge, but that coped line was, kind of freehand, so that was a little bit more tricky. But I was happy with it. It definitely seems to work pretty well, and the tip seems to have lasted pretty well. I didn't destroy it. Gave you a little bonus there, putting my table together. I hope that helps with maybe a project that you have coming up. So I'm pretty happy about this. I just got to sand the tabletop a little bit better, so I think I won't worry about getting it'll be able to make a good contact between the ground and my whatever weld piece is. So thanks. I'll probably have a few more videos about this thing and some other projects that I'm working on. If you're interested to see that, please like and subscribe. And I have a few other videos about photography stuff and some other random car fixing stuff, so hopefully that helps you out too. All right, thank you very much. Bye.